Good evening, everybody. As you all know, I'm Devoid. I'm with my dad, Rev Atheist, and we have a special guest today. We have Destro2240. I've got him because he's a new player, and it's relevant to today's topic, which is what, Rev? What are we talking about today?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the new player experience today. It's been
Yes.
around for a little while. I recently went through it just to make sure that I was up to speed. I don't know if you've done that, but yeah, we're going to talk about that and
We're
give our
gonna talk, yeah, and
impressions.
and and not just about the new player experience in reference to the tutorial, but as a whole, the experience of a new player in Star Citizen. We uh we're motivated to do this because in our chat, which Rev is not popping up on screen here, it was motivated by a lot of questions that one of our viewers, Stumpy Hung Pop, had
Oh,
regarding Star Citizen and how it plays out. And once we get our chat back up, because it's not an episode of Redacted without technical difficulties, then we'll kind of dive into that. I figured today we would talk about today's new player experience with Destro as he's new, and then we would talk about our new player experience since we started 3.5 years ago now. Holy shit.
Wow.
Anyway, while Rev is fixing chat, Destro, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience in Star Citizen over the last, what is it now? Now a month and a
Yeah, a
half?
month and a half. So as far as like my new player experience, I actually bought the game back in 2016, I think, is when my original pledge was. Never downloaded the game, never started it up, never touched it. So I followed Star Citizen for a while, and then I just ran out of stuff to play. So I was like, all right, let's download this, give it a whirl. It's had some years to develop. Let's see what we got. So I downloaded the game, and the download process, as far as like new player experience, new people to the game, super easy. You just download the game, launcher goes up, ready to go. Jump in and play. So once you get into the game, you start off in this little, it's a hab. So it's like an apartment that you have on one of the stations. And I think I was at Orison was where I chose to start. And mind you, I didn't know anything about Orison. I didn't know anything about the game. I'm one of those people, like, if I start a game, I don't do any research. I just
No, that's good. That's
dive in.
exactly what I want to hear.
So I start off in this little hab. I'm laying in a bed. I have no idea what the hell to do. So I'm like looking around because I'm like sleep paralysis demon, right? I'm
Can't
trying
get
to
out of
figure out
bed.
what to do. And then I finally see the little prompt sticking up out of my chest, and it says press F. And I was like, all
Yep.
right, cool. F to get up. All right. So I get up, walking around the room, and it's telling me open your inventory and eat and drink food. I'm like, okay, it's easy enough, right? It should be a simple task. So I open my inventory, press I, like every other game. Inventory pops up, and I'm like, there's a lot of tabs here, and I don't know what they mean, but I see a water bottle and I see a granola bar. I'm
Nice.
like, okay, these are the food items that I just picked up. So I move them over to my hand because it's got like, it shows your little silhouette of your person, and then it has like if you mouse like you grab the item, drag it over, and then mouse it over the hand, it puts it in your hand. Now you can use it. There's probably an easier way to do it, but at this point I don't know that. So I try to sit there and I'm figuring out how to eat this fucking candy bar, and I can't because my helmet's on. Well, I don't know how to take it off. So I try the normal gamer thing, open inventory, click on the helmet, and try to drag it off. Doesn't do anything. I was like, I'm going to starve to death in this hab or die of dehydration. I'm like, this is awesome. So I spent the first like hour and a half trying to figure out how to feed and water myself. And then, so you get through all that, right? And you're like, at this point, you're kind of frustrated, and you're like, I just want to go do something that's not staying alive. So you walk up to the door, you hit F, open door opens, and it takes you out into Orison. Now you're wandering around because you don't know where the fuck you're going. You have no idea where you're at.
I have a quick question for you, Destro. When you joined, right? I'm going to clarify something. When you join the game for the very first time, you get presented with an option. Okay, it's a little drop-down menu. It asks you where you want to start. You get to choose between 4 different systems. Orison is the capital city of the gas giant Crusader, and so this is where you chose. When you did this, did you opt to do the tutorial?
Yes.
Is that okay? So you are doing the tutorial. Okay, perfect.
That's what I was explaining.
Perfect. I wanted to make sure that you had selected.
Yeah. So you get out of the room and it tells you to go to the spaceport. So it's got like missions on the right hand side or little objectives on the right hand side, and it's just giving you small things to do. So it tells you to go to the spaceport. So now you're wandering around and you have no idea where you're going. You don't know how to open your map because it hasn't taught you how to do that yet. I spent the first like 3 hours of the game not knowing what the hell the Omni Glass was.
The Moby Glass?
Or Moby Glass? Sorry, not Omni Glass.
No, you're good.
And I was like, so I finally get to an elevator and I click on the screen and it pulls up the list of places to go. And I'm like, well, I don't actually know where to go, but lobby's probably a safe bet. So I go to lobby and now I'm in a room full of NPCs and chairs. I was like, I don't know what to do with any of this. So it took me a little while to kind of I wandered around that area and just tried to figure out kind of what to do. And I didn't realize that that wasn't the whole station. That was just one area of Orison. And I'm like, wow, so I have to get on this tram so that I can go to
Love the
Dustlow.
tram. God, I love the tram.
Yeah. So I try to get to the tram so I can go to Dustlow. I think that's what it is.
August Dunlow.
Dunlow, not Dustlow.
It's okay. This is why we brought a new player on, because you're as fresh as it gets.
So I go to Dunlow and I'm like, I get off the tram and like, okay, I'm at the spaceport. Now what? So I go to random NPCs trying to talk to them. I actually ended up renting a ship on accident because I was like, oh, I just got to go to this monitor over here and I can just buy a ship, right? And I was like, I don't know why I bought a ship then, because if I can just buy it here, why do I need my other ship? Well, I didn't realize that it was a rental and I wasn't buying the ship. So I rent this ship, and then finally I'm like, okay, it's got to be back over there where all those elevators are at. So I run all the way back over there, and I finally find the terminal. And to me, it didn't look like a computer. It just looked like part of that circle, like where all the computers are at to call your ships. It just looked like part of that circle. So I didn't realize that was a monitor. I ran past it like 20 times. I didn't realize it. So finally, I get on the kiosk and I'm able to call my ship, and now it's telling me go to hangar blah 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I jump in the elevator, click on the lobby that I'm supposed to get to. Voila, here's my Mustang, and I'm like, okay, I got a ship, and I'm dangerous. Let's go do some stuff.
Dangerous, he says.
So
Hung, just to let you know, I will answer your question shortly. I'm just gonna let him finish up where he's at.
So I get in my ship. I finally figure out how to get in my ship. I get in my ship and I start hitting keys at random on my keyboard because I don't know how to power on the engines, nothing. So I'm like, all right, one of these has got to be power. So I'm like, and I just started.
Question: You're taking the actual tutorial as put together by Cloud Imperium Games, and it's not telling you these things?
No.
Because I haven't actually run through that tutorial.
Yeah, I have. Here's what I know, right? What you didn't notice probably was the little message on the top right hand of the screen that told you what you needed to know was like down below on the bottom right hand corner. It has like the important hotkeys. It's not very obvious at all. It's not obvious.
Okay. Then yeah, that's probably what happened to me at this point. So I'm in my ship and I finally hit a magic key and everything lights up. And I've got engines, and I'm like, cool. I was like, let's do this. So I've played Elite Dangerous a lot. so I'm familiar with space flight, right? I play a lot of space or flight sims and stuff like that. So I'm like, I can get this thing off the ground. I was like, it's got to be fairly easy. Unless you know what you're doing, it's really not. So I get my ship, I hold spacebar, my ship shoots into the fucking roof of the hangar at max speed velocity, or
Yeah.
what felt like it at the time.
Mock
I hit the
Jesus,
top
they
of the
say.
hangar, start
Mock
bouncing
Jesus.
around in the hangar, and then eventually blow up. And I'm like,
Your first death. Nice.
A rite
Cool.
of passage.
I was like, I died 10 minutes into the game, didn't even make it into space. So
Nice.
now we're at a med bed. So I get out of the med bed. Now I've got to figure out how the hell to get out of the hospital. Here comes another journey. Anyway, so we'll fast forward through me looking through the chams and everything like that. I finally make it back to Dunslow, and I go to call my ship again. Well, now I just realized I have to pay an insurance charge for this ship. Granted, it was 500 credits, but when you've only got 200K to your name, it's a lot. So I paid for my ship, got my ship back, and this time I was able to get off the air or off the ground without killing myself, and then rotate my ship to where it's oriented towards what I believe is the hangar door at this point. It's not. So I was like, so I've got to probably request docking or something. So I hold F because I've figured that out by now. I can free look with F or pull up my little, like, it's that little rotational wheel that has
the
options
radio
on.
menu.
Yeah. So where was that? Oh, so I free look around the ship and I find a panel and I can interact with this panel and I'm like, cool, okay, details. That's kind of neat. And so I'm clicking through the screens and I find one that says comms. So I click comms and I just click the tab that has the station that I'm at. And then it's like, oh, takeoff has been granted, blah, 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 blah. I can't figure out. I think the game's bugged because the hangar opens above me, not in front of me. So I think that, like, I'm having a visual error. So what do? Being a not smart person, I guess, I fly full speed into the wall because I thought the wall wasn't actually there.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it
Dead.
was there.
Yeah. So death number 2. Fast forward, I get back, I get my ship again, get off the ground, request to launch, and then I finally think, look up, stupid. So I look up and
Vertical hanger.
I'm like, okay. And now I'm cautious because I've blown up twice. You know how it has that little, like, red meshing that's there? Like, it's like a laser grid.
Yeah, the force
I
field.
won't fly out of the fucking hangar because I think that it's a force field that won't go away. So I'm edging my ship towards this wall and I finally, like, poke it and I'm like, oh, I can go through this. We're good. I'm free. I fly out of that station and mock Jesus and keep
Amazing.
going because I'm like, I'm over it.
I'm gonna interrupt you a little bit to
Good.
answer some of Stumpy Hung Pop's questions and
Yeah.
sort of kind of catch up on what we were doing. So the first one, he asked, do you start with a ship? The answer is yes. You
Yes.
have to purchase a game package in order to play the game. They are as cheap as $40. I think you mentioned you got the Mustang, so you probably paid $40,
65.
right? Oh yeah,
65.
so the ship itself is 40. The entire game package is
Right.
60
Okay.
or
Yeah. My
65.
bad.
And so yeah, you pay on when they're on sale. They're like 45, which is nice, like around Christmas time.
Yeah.
But you pay $60 like any other game. You get access to a starter ship that is yours forever. You say with real money. This is purchased with real money. It's just like, it's the barrier of entry for any game. $60, right?
You're essentially, like, when you buy your starter ship, you have to look at it as you're buying your game.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that is exactly right. Now there are other starter packages that are more expensive if you decide, but that's talking about the funding model, and we can dive into that another day. But yes, for as little as $60, you can get into the game and enjoy everything it has to offer.
No. You can get in for cheaper than 65. 65 is just the package that I
That's
chose.
true. That's true. But you
I think
say
the Avenger is cheaper.
Yeah. His next question was, so I can lose ships if I bought them? The answer is, and I know that chat's not coming up on our screen here, but I'm seeing it. If you bought it with in-game currency, then you will likely lose them over time as they conduct wipes with various updates and stuff, because this game is an alpha state, which means that they're going to wipe things eventually as they need to do testing. So any ships purchased with in-game currency, you will probably lose at some point. Anything purchased with real money does persist. So you don't ever have to worry about losing that. If your ship blows up, then just like Destro talked about, there is a countdown timer for an insurance claim. And if you want to expedite it, you can pay in-game currency to expedite the insurance claim so it goes faster.
Yeah, you always have the option of just sitting around and doing nothing for a while and waiting. But
it's true. You can do it completely free. You just click a button. It's usually 10 to 60 minutes, depending on the ship. Size of the ship, cost of the ship, it all depends on how long you're waiting if you blow it up. And you say, so don't buy ships. I actually recommend the opposite. I recommend to people typically get the cheapest ship, get in game, and then grind for in-game money and buy ships in game, because then you don't have to spend anything out of pocket.
I think it's what he was asking is like, don't buy pledge ships.
Yeah, pledge ships. I mean, if you want to support the project, right? If you want to help fund the development, then do what you want. It's your money.
Or if you just want to be super irresponsible,
like Rev and Destro and me and most people.
You say you'll never do it, give it 2 weeks. Promise.
Yeah, it's true. He asks, these are good questions to ask. Hung has never ever played the game. It's something he's just a little curious about. He says, how do you acquire in-game currency?
Robbing people is an option.
Robbing people is an option.
So like Pyro Freelancer Corp, the corp that we're all, or org that we're all in, is a pirate org. So that's one way to make money, but to do it like on the right side of the law.
Why don't you tell us, Destro, what you did as a new player to try to start making money?
Deliveries.
Yeah, how does that work?
So delivery missions, or at this, when did you start? How long ago?
Month and a half. So right at the end of 0.23.
Gotcha. So you, at that point, we didn't have the hangars. We didn't have the cargo missions. Okay.
No. So I did deliveries. So what you'll do is you'll open up your glass, and it'll have a thing at the bottom, and it's just icons. And if you have half a brain, you can assume what the icon is for. They're very that part of it. I have found that all the menus and stuff are very intuitive. Like I've never felt like I got into a menu and I got lost, except for the inventory. The inventory is still one that my brain's like, that this doesn't work right. So, but all the menus are nice. So anyways, you'll open up that glass and you'll have contracts, and in there's a bunch of different on the left hand side there's tabs. And it says like hauling, bounties, salvage, and I think the other one was miscellaneous.
Mercenary.
Yeah, there's various, mercenary. There's various tabs.
So you click one of those tabs, and I was like, delivery seems fairly easy to start out, just to kind of learn to fly around.
Yeah, it's actually really good specifically for that, to get you in and out of places, landing in relatively
point
safe
A,
zones.
point B. Yep. So it's really good. Like Rev just said, if you wanna learn how to land and stuff like that, it will definitely make you a little bit better pilot. I wouldn't say combat wise it makes you a better pilot, but just being able to fly, it makes you a better pilot. So anyways, so you accept one of these delivery missions. It tells you to go pick up a package from a certain place. You go to that place and you land your ship and you get off and you run into one of these little like buildings. They're like little towns that are on the surface of the planets or moons or whatever it may be. And you go into one of those, and it'll either be sitting on a shelf, or it will be like in a machine where you can click pick up, and it's like a vending machine. It like spits out a package for you that's meant for your mission. So then you'll grab this and you'll carry it back to your ship. Make sure that your ship has storage, because I've made that mistake before. I now have a package and I don't know what to do with it, so I need to put it somewhere. So if you make sure you have a ship that has cargo space, if you do, go open your cargo bay, set that little package down in your cargo bay, and you can close it and then be on your way. So now once you have the package in your possession, it'll tell you drop off point. And so you're going to do the same thing. You're going to fly to that drop off point. It's going to be either a station or it's going to be on like one of those little surface side like planets or installations. And you'll go and like deliver it onto a like a shelf or another one of those drop box machines.
Little kiosk. Yeah, and so I mean that's a really good way to kind of get started as a new player, right? Because it's very simple. It helps you figure out the controls of your ship,
right?
How to land, how to take off, how to engage and disengage your quantum drive, how to watch your fuel, right?
Yeah. So the one thing that I like about the missions that help the new player, right, is it's not real clear, but there's a handful of mission types that Destro mentioned. So like the boxes, the deliveries, they really are great for getting you into space, flying from place to place, landing, up and down, which is great. The bounty hunter missions are really great for teaching you about how to fight in space. And then the mercenary missions are really good about teaching you how to fight on the ground. So it's I don't know. That's one of the things I really like about it, is that depending on what it is you want to get used to and learn, we've got mission types that are going to help you to get that experience.
That is true. And so Hung is saying, why was it the first thing you did? Was there other options? Is it ill-advised to loot and steal immediately? Well, we talked about the first two things. It's the first thing he did because it seemed easy. There are other options. Is it ill-advised to loot and steal immediately? Not necessarily. There is nothing stopping you from picking up a gun and saying, ooh, I can point this at somebody, and trying to steal their shit, right? There is also no material advantage to somebody who has more experience versus who doesn't. It's all about your actual player experience, which is part of the great thing. So day one, if you want to start stealing something, you can start stealing something. In fact, I'm going to talk a little bit about one of my first experiences as a player.
Yeah.
And Rev knows exactly what I'm talking about. Okay.
We need to do a little bit more of that.
We do. So one of my very first experiences as a Star Citizen player, and we bought this game in November of 2020, I think, and we pretty much immediately got into shenanigans, doing some illegal stuff, and I had known from watching one of our old friends, Cyrus the Virus, play that jail was a thing. If you break the law, you gain a crime stat, cops can arrest you and send you to jail. And inevitably, this happened to us because we were fucking around. And I thought to myself, I'm gonna get real good at breaking out of prison. And maybe that's what we could start our group with. Just charge people for prison breaks. We had a whole pricing structure laid out. It was great. Yes, Hung, you can indeed be a bounty. If you get a high enough crime stat, other players can come after you, and they will. But
been there, done that.
Yeah, been there, done that, right? So we go to jail, okay? Or
a lot.
I go to jail. Rev was not in jail. Rev was a good little boy, and he did not get arrested. But I did. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to break out. And Rev said, okay, I'll pick you up. We'll go hack off your crime stat at a Comaray. No problem. I said, great. I looked up.
How fast did you get shot down?
Oh, we didn't. But I'll tell you what did happen. I looked up a YouTube video, how to break out of prison, Star Citizen, and I found a good one. Okay, it was a good guide, showed me exactly where I needed to go. It took me a little bit of time. I kept dying because you're in a situation where you're on a small moon, so gravity is lower than it is on Earth, and so the controls feel a little funny. You jump really, really far. You can slide and stuff because gravity is fucky. And it's a whole slew of vaulting puzzles. So you have to jump over things, you have to clear chasms, you have to climb up things, and the idea is that it's not easy, but it's rewarding if you can get through it. And so I'm like, I'm gonna break out of prison. Well, I died a lot in the first hour, and then I got a little further, and then I would get further, and then I would die, and then I'd get further, and I would die. And to keep a long story short, my dad is a saint. He waited there on and off for what was it, 6 hours, Rev, for me to
Yeah,
finally
about that. It was a while. It was a fucking
for
while.
me to finally break completely out of jail and get free, go up to the surface. There's this mechanic where toward the very end of breaking out, there's like this warden's office that you can peek into. There's like a glass window and there's a screen that has like codes to locks for this garage, and inside the garage is this like space rover where you can get in, and it's like a controlled environment inside. You can breathe in there. So you got to get the code, and I like made it up the stairs. I kept dying to these stairs because some of them are broken, and if you fall down the chasm and die. So 6 hours later, I finally make it to the top. I use the security code to open the garage. I get in this rover and I start driving. 6 hours this man waited for me, and we finally got out. We got to one of the secure facilities, which back in the day there were 4 of them, not just one, and we cleared our crime stat, and in the end it was a successful day. But holy shit, guys, it took me so long, and that was one of my first experiences as a player, and I loved it. But he just sat there and waited for me, and I'm amazed I didn't scare him off. It was great.
Cool. It was cool.
But that's like that's
Um,
part of Star Citizen, right? Like it's like getting into shenanigans with your friends, and
It is. It is. And Hung says, won't you get another bounty for escaping? You absolutely do. As soon as you cross the threshold outside of the main prison yard,
gives people a mission.
you're marked with a, hey, there's a guy escaping. Somebody go grab him, and somebody can absolutely fly in. They see you in real time. And yes, they can send you right back to jail. We got lucky. Nobody did that for us. It would have been heartbreaking if somebody had. I probably would have just logged off after 6 hours, but we made it. It was okay. It was okay.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Anyway, it was. It was. So long story short, Hung, you can do whatever you want as soon as you want to, as long as you have the resources to. Are you still a fugitive? Well, no, because when you break out of jail, you can go to secure facilities and you have a crime stat rating
Well,
throughout the system.
you're a fugitive until you hack your stat away.
I was getting there.
Oh, sorry.
You goober. So yeah, your crime stat is recorded in this Imperial database, right? And there are certain secure facilities that have access to this database, and you can break in, hack into those databases, and clear your crime stat. And so that is what we do when we end up with a crime stat, or when we break out of jail, is we hack into this database and clear our crime stat, and we are free and clear to go. So
Yeah, there's only 2 ways. There's 3 ways to get rid of crime stat. One, if it's not very high, you can pay the fine, and it'll go away. But as soon as it gets high enough, you can't pay a fine. It's either go to jail and wait, or hack into the database and clear your stat. That's it.
Correct. Can I pay to play, pay real money for in-game resources? The only resources really that you can pay for is ships, and technically you can pay for credits, but the balance in real money to credits is so shitty.
Garbage.
Not recommended at
Garbage.
all. It's like $10 for 10,000 credits. It's horrendously terrible.
That's like
To
one
put it into
mission.
percent, yeah,
are you
is.
are you talking about through RSI?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm not even going to
okay,
talk
never
about
mind.
eBay trading.
Never
because I
mind,
don't-
never
I
mind,
don't- I
and,
don't
never
know
mind.
and
about
all
eBay
that
trading.
is like starting cash, right? So like at a wipe, you might have a little bit of a bump.
Yeah, like 5 or 20,000 credits or something like that. How long do you have to wait for what, Hung?
It
So-
could be like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or up to maybe 48 hours, I think.
Oh, you're talking about in jail. Yes. Sentences can go up to 48 real fucking hours.
Yep.
Like,
So-
it'll say, this is your time, and it'll show you 37 and a half hours. Now, that's not to say that you actually have to sit there and wait for 37 and a half hours. There are means of bringing that time down. You can work it off. The reason that the prison is on the moon that it's on is because that moon is rich in specific mineral deposits one of them being Hadanite, which is like if you could imagine diamond but harder. It's used in industrial equipment. Very, very valuable. And basically, the prison puts you to work mining this Hadanite material. And if you mine a whole bunch of it, then you can work off your time. There's also less than legal ways to reduce your time. You can run out beyond comms range deep into mine tunnels, and you can basically knock people out and steal their Hadanite they've mined, and then you can go and sell it, right? Or turn it in. And the third way is sometimes, because these are long tunnels on a moon that doesn't have any sort of breathable atmosphere, there are kiosks that pump oxygen into your packs, and every once in a while those malfunction, and you can get merit towards your release by fixing those. So there's a few ways to sort of bring that time down, and yes, it continues to count down while you're logged off. So a lot of people, when they get jail time, they say, oh, well, that's it for the night. They log off and they come back tomorrow and they're good. Yeah, that's true. It's something you do. So yeah, there's definitely ways around it. Now, the tutorial, we kind of interrupted you as you were talking about the tutorial. You got into the atmosphere, flown above horizon. What were the next steps? What did that look like for you?
So that's when I started doing the delivery missions.
Okay, cool. So
'Cause-
it's pretty easy to sort of figure out like how to like quantum drive your ship and all that stuff.
yeah. I mean, for me, it was. I mean, once again, I've played other space sims, so that's the only advantage that I would have as opposed to somebody like never touched a game ever.
Fair enough.
So like for me, flying was pretty natural. Everything else was the disorienting part, like learning how to work the inventory system and where things are at, because like I didn't think that this game, and this is a plus side for Star Citizen, like bravo. I didn't think this game was as interactive as it was. So like if you go to like in Orison, so there's gonna be these little kiosks all over the place and they sell what looks like novelties. And everything on that table you can buy. And so like I wasn't used to how much stuff I could actually do, how many buttons in the ship, like if you go into free look, are actually like pressable, toggleable, things for the ship, turning your scanners on, blah blah blah.
Right.
So like
Yeah.
the interaction with this game and like the like immersion is something that I have not found in another space sim yet.
Yeah, and at this point, it's really just prototypes. Like there's a
Right.
lot of things that aren't currently on the panels that long term are supposed to be on the panels.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that it's going to be more. It is
Yeah.
the point.
It is a good ship to look at for a glimpse into what we are expecting to see with exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about interactions for buttons and stuff. Have you flown the Gladius yet?
No.
Okay. The Gladius is
It's the one
probably
that looks like the A10, right?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know what an A10 looks like.
The
But
Gladius,
the
no, it's a fighter.
Gladius
Yeah.
is a single seat fighter. Okay.
It looks like a sword.
Now,
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I think the Gladius is probably the furthest along in terms of gold standard, right? Meaning it's had the most work put into it, mostly because it's like the main ship you fly in Squadron 42, which, as we've talked about, is the single player version of this game that we're hoping to get a release date for later this year. But the Gladius, if you get into it and you press R for flight ready, there's actually an entire animation that plays where you look around and you actually physically flip switches to power everything on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and the buttons that are flicked in the animation are respective to the buttons that you would actually hover over and click on other ships. So it's click,
So it
click,
has an
click.
actual cockpit animation.
It does, and the idea is for every ship to have that eventually, and it's going to be these bespoke animations that are tailored to the individual buttons of every ship, as well as if you press a certain function such as headlights or landing gear, your character will actually reach over and toggle that exact button.
yeah. But the
So-
point that I was trying to make is that will actually be a button that if you use free look, you can go, oh, there's the button, and you could toggle it.
Yes, that's exactly right. We got a little bit on a tangent there, but yes, that is something that is coming. Um, so your new player experience, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the differences between yours and mine, because when Rev and I started playing,
Oh,
there was no tutorial, none at all.
I can tell you what my real quick, my very first
Sure, please
experience
share.
was logging in and slideshow for about half an hour as I came to the realization I couldn't play. That was my first experience.
Because
Nice.
of like
Because the
computer components.
Well, because the frame rate was just so bad.
Oh, okay.
Right. It might have been free flight. I don't know what was going on. My computer could basically handle it, but my gosh, it was just so bad.
I actually do think that we accidentally started during a free flight period. In fact, let me go to my account and see when our enlistment date was. Oh, excuse me. December 20th, 2020, I guess, was our enlistment date. So I thought it was November, but I was wrong. Does, do they do an end of the year free flight for Christmas? I don't remember. I think they do, because they have all the Christmas sales going on.
I just know it
I'm
was
not
bad.
sure.
It was rough, right? And it also doesn't help that because this is such a graphically intensive game, there's a very large like shader folder, right? So you have to compile all these shaders the first time you load in, and it's like super rough. When I first started playing, I had a fresh PC build that only had 16 gigabytes of RAM, which I've since learned is not enough for this game because it's very
Yikes.
RAM intensive.
Yeah.
But I started on Area 18, which is one of the 4 landing zones that we've talked about.
God.
It's very Blade Runner. Okay, it's like this very
Yeah.
futuristic. It's a planet city. There's lots of pinks, red, blue, just lights everywhere.
Cyberpunk, but in
Very
space.
cyberpunk. It's very nice, right? And I loved that aesthetic. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start there. And so I loaded in, and it was kind of a similar experience, right? I wasn't sure what to do. I ended up pressing like WASD to see if it would wiggle me out of bed, and it did. I got out of bed, and here I was in my little apartment building. I'm thinking, oh, this is cool. I get my own apartment building. And I seem to recall that like one of my first experiences was me walking out of my apartment building and going, oh, this is kind of cool. And then I wanted to turn around and walk back into my apartment building, and the door was locked. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
I've been bamboozled.
Exactly. I've been fucking bamboozled. What is this? I can't open my goddamn door. And that's when I learned that we actually don't have apartment buildings. Those are basically spawn closets for players.
Yeah.
Once you go out, you can't go back in because the next person has to spawn in. That's how it works. It's a little silly. But I spent a significant amount of time just walking around, just taking it in, right? Partially because it was awesome, and partially because I didn't know what the fuck else to do. I knew that I had a ship waiting for me at the spaceport. Didn't know where it was. There was no hints. There was no nothing.
Yeah, it was wander and guess.
Yeah, and so I was like, "Oh, cool. These look like some shops." So I would like walk around, and I'd like walk into the shops. I walked into one that had like guns on the wall and like armor sets, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." And you could like pick up a gun off the wall, but then it would break your character. You know, that was really fun. Like you couldn't put it back, and then you were just like stuck, and you couldn't like do anything with it.
It's not a bug; it's a feature.
It's right. We started in a time where it's considering all it is, it's pretty playable right now. A lot of these bugs have been worked around, but 2020 was sort of a peak time for bugs, right?
Were
Aside from like the very
18.
Were you there for the the 18?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we started it at the tail end of 311. We've seen a lot of shit. We've seen a lot of shit. Okay, not as much shit as some people.
This is why all Star Citizen players, when you talk to them, their eyes glaze over and it looks like they've been to Nam. Because they're having fucking flashbacks of shitty patches.
Yes. There were bugs. I mentioned you take something off the shelf. You had the option for things like clothing and armor. It gave you an option to try it on. You could try it on before you buy it, see what it looks like. You could inspect a gun before you buy it. But if you did that, it would physically take it off the shelf, and then the communication or something in order to put it back on the shelf and remove it from your person broke. It wouldn't work. And so you were physically stuck with this item attached to your character. And because you didn't actually own it, it was like different coding or something to apply it to your character and not through the inventory system. You couldn't actually take it off. And so now you were just stuck and you couldn't try on anything else because you were stuck in this state and you couldn't change anything, which sucked. So you pretty much had to like, and get this,
clothes. You had to put them on, die, put them on, die.
Except let me tell you something. Even dying didn't help because we didn't have hospitals. We didn't have local inventory. So when you died, you woke up wearing your same clothes.
Fuck.
So you were stuck and you had to basically character reset, which used to be an hour-long process. It's not anymore, but it used to be an hour-long process where to reset your account. You have to wait for everything to reload back up, and then you start all over again. It would wipe things. It used to wipe money. It stopped wiping money shortly after we started. It used to, but it still wiped all your consumables. It reset, your spawn location. It was rough. There were other bugs like goodness. What are some oldie but goodie bugs? Rev, you remember any that stick out to you?
First of all, my memory's horrible, and even if it wasn't, I'm pretty certain I would have blocked it out. Like
I know, just purge those memories. Long story short, the experience was just vastly different, right? One of the first things I did after I figured out how to get to the spaceport was I called my ship. I pledged a Cutlass Black as my first pledge ship because I did a lot of research before playing and I decided that's the ship for me. I pledged Cutlass Black. I got into it, and kind of similar experience to you. I was trying to fly mouse and keyboard, and it sucks. And I was just like moving my ship around. I eventually got out, and once I got out, I could see the cityscape. And I was like, "This is fucking sweet." And so I was messing around. I figured out my ship had an autopilot button. So that was really cool. And so I was like, oh, this is going to be cinematic as fuck. I set my ship on autopilot. I got out of the seats and I went back and I opened up one of the side doors on the Cutlass and I was just standing there watching the cityscape go by. I learned that there was a bug with the Cutlass Black where it would pitch down. And so by the time I realized it, I'm like, something looks a little funny. The horizon just started doing this. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. And I look, and sure enough, we're just going down. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I'm running back to my cockpit. I try to get in the seat. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I sit in the seat, and it lifts you up into the cockpit right in time for me to see buildings coming at me. And this is probably a terrible day to talk about this. Because I'm looking down at the date today. But I just boom right into a skyscraper. Blew up.
Yeah, no, there have been lots of fun bugs. Lots of fun bugs. There was one where just walk, like if you had a ramp, just walking up the ramp into your ship could cause your ship to blow up.
Yes.
That was fun.
For some ships, it was when you walked into the ship. For others, if you ran out of the ship. There were also specific ships that bug was only specific to you wearing certain backpacks. You wore a certain backpack and you walked off of that ship, it would explode. There's some truly appalling bugs that have happened throughout the years. And as a new player with no tutorial and no friends trying to navigate these bugs, it was easy to see why people called this game a scam and said it would never happen because boy, it was rough. We've come a long way though. We have really come a long way. And I think ultimately what got Rev and I through it is the community. So you could reach out, you could ask questions.
Friendship.
And literally,
that's exactly
literally.
Right. Yeah. Like we started right off and like first thing, I'm like, let's build a Discord,
booze,
let's create an org, let's do this stuff, man.
Friendship, booze, and a lot of willpower.
Yeah, I mean, they say it like that, but it's true, right? In this game, we're fortunate to be in a position where no matter what situation you're in, for the most part, you can reach out to pretty much anybody, ask for help, and they'll give it to you, which is super nice.
That's like how I met y'all.
I don't even remember how we met you.
So let's fast forward 2 weeks to me being into the game.
Sure.
No. It wasn't 2 weeks. It was like 3 or 4 days.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm bumbling around the universe. I think I'm like the best delivery guy ever because I've got like fucking my delivery rep is maxed. So I've delivered a lot of packages at this point.
FedEx driver to the max. Good.
And I'm like, dude, I've probably made so much money. And at this point, I haven't really spent any money on anything other than eating. So it's like 5 credits here, 5 credits there.
Oh, so you have like 500,000 credits at this point, maybe.
Wrong.
No, 300, 400.
No. So I open up my glass. I have 120,000 credits.
Rolling in the dough, man. Holy shit.
I'm like, I'm rich. Like I'm balling. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go. I saw people talking and chat about like RMC and that you could buy it. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, if I go buy this stuff and haul it, I'll make some cash. So here I go down to Rappel with my little 8 SCU carrying fucking Mustang. And I get to Rappel. I get my boxes and realize I can't fit an 8 SCU in the back of this ship in a full box because it's a fucking square. And the hole for the cargo is a line. So you're like, how am I going to Tetris this in there? So I bought this RMC. Now I can't haul it because I can't get it in the ship. And I'm like, what the hell do I do? So I get on there's a chat in game where you can talk to people in your server, and I do the stupidest thing ever. I go, hey, can somebody come and grab this box of RMC for me and take me up to a station so I can sell it?
Tell me we pirated you.
No. I'm not to y'all yet. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
So we do said thing. Guy comes and picks me up.
Uh-oh.
So we get the RMC onto the ship. I go to walk up the ramp to go with him and his buddy. And I get shot in the face.
Welcome to Star Citizen.
And I'm like, why? So they were pirates. I got. So I'm licking the wounds. I just lost money. Like, this kind of sucks. So I meet this group of dudes because I was mad and I wanted to go hunt those guys down. I was like, oh, they killed me. I got to get my stuff back. So I joined this mercenary group. I'm not going to say their name. And they start teaching me how to bounty hunt. And they convinced me to get my Cuddy Black. And you will own a Cuddy Black at some point in your Star Citizen life. You will.
It's like a
own
Toyota
that.
Corolla.
Right. Exactly. You will own one. You will have a friend that has one or something.
It's a solid ship, man.
It really is.
Great.
It does everything. It does everything good. It's not.
Yeah, it does. It's a jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, right? So I've got my Cuddy Black, right? And I'm like, I got some firepower now. I got homeboys on my side. I got this. I know what I'm doing. So I start running salvage in my Cuddy Black. I'm making money. I get enough money that I can buy an MSR.
Nice.
Wow. Okay.
And this is a ship that I had wanted since I started playing, and I was like, I'm gonna go get this ship because I saw it at the Orison showroom, and that's another cool thing. So like they have ship showrooms, and all the ships that you can pilot, well, a lot of the ships that you can pilot are in these showrooms, and you can actually get on the ship, walk around the decks, and everything like that. You can get in the cockpit, but you can't like start the ship up or anything. It's like
That's true.
It's like it's like being at SEMA.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like you can get in well, you're not really supposed to get in the cars. If the booth lets you, you can get in the car, but you can't start it. Ain't got no gas in it.
Right.
That whole thing.
And Hung, he mentioned MSR. That's the Crusader Mercury Star Runner. That's sort of the Millennium Falcon ship. If you can imagine the Millennium Falcon, but in the Star Citizen universe, it's what this ship is.
It's the Millennium Falcon, but it's a triangle, not a circle.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
So I get my MSR and I'm like, cool, I've got more cargo space. I'm going to make more money. So I going by my MSR. I'm super excited, and like I'm hauling cargo late at night, dude. It's like, I don't know, probably 1:30 in the morning at this point, and I'm hauling cargo and I get pirated again. And this time, because I was trying to figure out if there was a play, I asked in chat again if there was a place to sell RMC for more money. And I'm like, they're like, oh yeah, we'll take you there and we'll show you. And they're like, where are you at? And I'm like, oh, little trusting me, I'm over here.
Yeah.
So I give them my coordinates. I joined the party. No, I didn't join their party because that's how they got me. I didn't join their party, but they met me over at one of the stations and just told me basically where to go. So I jump in to where they tell me to go. There are 8 ships there waiting for me.
Damn.
To steal all my RMC.
Dang. You were
And
so hosed.
yeah, I was like, I can't even fight this. And none of my org mates are on. So I'm like, great. And basically they took everything I had, and then to add insult to injury, they killed me, stole my armor, and then blew up my ship.
Rough.
So I'm like, I was like, this isn't working. I'm losing money. I'm getting kind of discouraged at this point. Like, I kind of just want to refund all my stuff and leave the game, because I'm just like, I'm getting hammered by bad luck after bad luck after bad luck. And granted, yes, some of it's my stupidity, but you know,
Most.
when you're taking L's left and right, you don't want to believe it's you.
For sure.
So I get on the official Discord and I'm like, hey, is there any way? I was like, what is the best way to make money safely? And a lot of people said salvage. Well, I didn't know what salvaging was. So one of the guys on there was like, he's like, jump in the party with me and my boy, and we'll take you and teach you how to salvage. Well, those guys ended up being the PFC. And I think it was Pyro. Pyro is the one that originally reached out to me. And so I joined the Discord, and I've got all these guys in there, and I was like, hey, just letting y'all know, like, if y'all are gonna pirate me, I was like, there's nothing on this ship. It's completely empty. I just got pirated like 15 minutes ago. And they're like, well, we are pirates, but we're not pirating. And I was like, oh, it's like fantastic. And they were like, jump out of your ship and come jump in one of these vultures so that we can show you what to do. And so they taught me how to run a vulture that night. And I had 22,000 credits to my name when I met you guys. And they kind of took me under their wing. I made 6.5 million credits the night that I met the PFC. And then I was this little do-gooder. I was like, I'm never going to kill somebody and blah, 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 blah. I want to stay on the right side of the law. And I was like, everybody's like, right, okay. The day 2 is when we met Osiris. It was me and Banshee. And we're in Banshee's, I think we're in his A2.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to do Osiris's beacon because he put out a beacon to be helped because he was dead. And he puts out a beacon, and Osiris is like, we'll go over there. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. I was like, we'll go over there and help him and steal his shit. This is a guy that didn't want to break the law. So,
Yeah, that's how,
so we
That's
turn
how
on,
you get yourself.
we turn on the guns on the ship, and Banshee puts his landing gear down and it kicks me out of the guns. And I'm like, Banshee, I was like, what are you doing? Keep the guns on. We're going to kill this guy. He goes, what are you talking about? He's like, no, we're here to help him. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah. He's like, we just came here to revive him. And then we're going to meet up with the guys at Grimhex. And I was like, oh, I was like, shit. So he picks up Osiris, and Osiris is like talking to him in chat. And Osiris is like, thanks for the help. I'll see you guys later. So I get back in the gun turret and I'm like, I want to do something. So I get back in the turret and I turn towards Osiris and I realize I can scan from the turret. So I started scanning his ship. And it popped and it had RMC in it. And I was like, Banshee, he's got RMC on that ship. And I was like, Banshee's like, are you sure? And I was like, oh, 100%. It's got RMC in it. I was like, it's got 10 SCU. It wasn't anything big. Like, but I was like, it's got 10 SCU of RMC. And so I was telling Banshee, I was like, turn fucking guns on so I can shoot his ass out of the sky. I was like, he's going to get away. And Banshee's like, hold on. He's like, I'm talking to him. Banshee's talking to the guy, and he ends up getting in. He ends up coming in the Discord, and I was like, Banshee, I was like, did you really just invite the guy that I'm fixing to blow the fuck up? And Banshee, Osiris was like, what? And I was like, I'm fixing to kill you, bro. And he was like, why? And I was like, I'm a pirate. I don't know what to tell you.
I've just decided I'm a pirate.
Yeah, so Banshee saved that man's life, and Osiris.
Well, it's good because he's sticking around. I think he's not playing right this second, but yeah, he's stuck around.
Yeah,
he's
he
a good
made
guy.
lieutenant.
Yeah, we don't pirate near as much as I think we should, but we do like to pirate.
Oh yeah,
it's true. It's true. We've had some truly amazing instances of some strong piracy. We've made millions. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Is the night that I met y'all, we heard a lot of feelings that night.
Yeah.
I sat in a gun turret. Oh, that's when I met Hito. So Hito was piloting that night, and I wasn't a very good pilot, but I wanted to go. And I was like, can I ride with somebody? And he was like, yeah, jump in with me. Hito is a pilot that is bespoked by pilots. Like, he's an ace.
He is fantastic. He's among our best.
So I've been into like dogfighting games for a long time. This is just kind of like, blow smoke up Hito's ass. I've played pilot games for a long time. I've been in 6-axis motion sims and I don't get motion sickness. I spent an hour in a gun turret with Hito piloting, and I had motion sickness sitting at my damn computer. This man flies so fast and so aggressive, and 90% of the time I was blacked out in the fucking turret because he was turning so hard. But
Hito's great. Hito's great. We are coming up on our hour, and so I'm gonna open up the floor for just a couple last questions. Hung, you've been watching with us, and I appreciate it. This was sort of a show where I wanted to make sure that any questions for any prospective players or anybody who's curious can get them answered. Yep. And most of our questions have been coming from Hung. So if you had any last questions, feel free to throw them out there. But we are gonna start winding down the show. It's getting to be Rev's bedtime because he's an old man. So and it's a school night, so he needs to go to bed. But this has been a very insightful stream. Thank you. That's not a question though. It's okay if you don't have any.
What?
I'm
looking at the chat because we've got one viewer in particular.
Yeah, our chat's not working right now, so we've just got the anyway.
Well, Hung, if you come up with questions, you can text me. If you are thinking about getting the game, you better build a beefy PC, and I can help you with that because it's not on console. But no, no,
it's Elite Dangerous. Elite, never mind.
Yeah, we don't speak about that game. ED, it's erectile dysfunction.
Oh, it feels bad.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up there, guys. We are always taking on new players, just like we took on Destro. We are pirates, but we understand that
We're honorable.
knocking new players down a peg is not something that needs to happen, and so we try to help them out as much as possible. So have a beautiful time. That's right. We're on Discord. If you're not in there already, discord.gg/pfcs. We're building our website. It's showing right down there the website, but it's incorrect. So we should fix that. But we're
Yeah.
also on Twitch,
Yeah, you said that.
Instagram,
You said that
Twitter,
last time. Yeah.
and I'm gonna say it again. But anyway, that's it for the stream today. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you Monday. I think we're gonna do one.
Really? So soon?
I think so. Well, my schedule gets wacky around this time, so it's
All
like a
right.
reset.
Cool. Well,
So-
we'll do it. All right.
Cool. Alrighty. Later, guys. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Voices of Levski rise and roar through winding tunnels and cavernous course. Here in the shadows we claim our fate. In Levski's arms we forge our stay. With hands of iron, hearts of gold, we build our dreams uncontrolled.